When a man is unhappy with himself, he'll project that pain onto the woman who's trying to love him. It's a harsh truth but one that's often overlooked. Instead of looking inward and facing his own demons, he takes the frustration, the anger, the insecurity out on the person closest to him. The woman who shows up with love, hope, and vulnerability. She becomes the mirror for his dissatisfaction, the outlet for his unrest. And in doing so, he ends up ruining her happiness, not because she's done anything wrong, but because he can't find his own peace. It's heartbreaking to watch because the woman doesn't ask for his pain or his burdens. She steps in with open arms and an open heart, hoping to build something beautiful together. But when a man is wrestling with himself, his failures, his fears, his worthlessness, he can't give her the love she deserves. Instead, he pulls her into the storm, making her responsible for his emotional chaos when that should never be her job. This projection creates a toxic cycle where love gets tangled with resentment, trust gets replaced by doubt, and happiness becomes a fragile, rare moment that feels like it's slipping through their fingers. The woman ends up carrying more weight than she should, feeling broken and confused because she can't understand why her love isn't enough to fix what's wrong. But here's the truth she needs to hear: she is not the cause of his unhappiness. His inability to find peace inside himself is his battle to fight, not hers to carry. And no matter how much she tries to save him or fix him, she can't heal wounds he refuses to face. Real love isn't about sacrificing your happiness for someone else's pain. It's about two people who are whole enough on their own choosing to grow together, not dragging each other down. So if you're the woman trying to love a man who's unhappy with himself, remember this. You deserve happiness that's not conditional on his mood or his struggles. You deserve a love that lifts you, not one that pulls you under. And sometimes, loving yourself means walking away from someone who can't love you the way you deserve because he hasn't learned to love himself yet. When a woman detaches emotionally, it's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's quiet. Subtle. Almost unnoticeable at first. She stops arguing. Stop asking. Stop explaining. Stops waiting. Stops caring. She simply lets go. And when she lets go, it's permanent. Because the version of her that loved you blindly, that fought for you tirelessly, that stayed up late hoping you'd change, that version no longer exists. You'll notice it in the way she no longer reacts. In this way, she's no longer bothered. In the peace that radiates from her absence. You'll realize too late that the woman who once gave you everything has now given you nothing, and it wasn't out of spite, but self-respect. Understand this: you don't get to mistreat a woman, drain her, break her trust, and expect her to return the same. Once her lesson is learned, the chapter is closed. And the next time you see her, she'll be stronger, wiser, colder, unavailable. So cherish her while she's yours, because once she detaches, she's gone in ways you'll never be able to reach again. She didn't leave with a dramatic goodbye. No long text. No emotional breakdown. No final plea. Just silence. Because by the time a woman chooses silence, she's already had 1,000 conversations with herself. She's replayed the arguments. She's tried to explain her hurt in 100 different ways. She's begged out loud and in her mind for the kind of love that doesn't make her question her worth. And when none of it changed, she chose herself. Not because she stopped caring, but because she finally realized that her words weren't being heard and she was done bleeding from wounds she didn't create. You see, silence isn't cold. It's sacred. It's the sound of a woman healing. It's the peace she found when she realized closure doesn't always come with answers. It comes with acceptance. So if she goes quiet, don't confuse it with indifference. It means she's done explaining what should have been seen. Done fighting for love that didn't fight for her. And done waiting for someone to finally understand the value of what they lost. Her silence. That was the goodbye. A spiritually expensive woman carries a high level of self-awareness, emotional depth, and a rooted commitment to her personal growth. This doesn't necessarily mean she's materialistic, rather, her expense is about the emotional and spiritual investment required to be in a relationship with her. She expects depth, honesty, and a true willingness to grow together, qualities that demand a certain maturity and openness from a partner. She is unafraid to set boundaries that protect her energy, sometimes prioritizing her inner peace over social conventions or surface-level interactions. To be with a spiritually expensive woman, one has to be equally willing to dive deep. She isn't interested in superficiality, she seeks a partner who can support her journey and, ideally, is on a similar one themselves. It can feel like a high investment for someone not used to this level of depth, but for those ready for it, she brings a rare, irreplaceable kind of fulfillment. The relationship becomes a shared journey toward something greater, elevating both partners beyond what they might have reached alone. In a toxic relationship, you might think a woman is stupid or naive for staying, but that couldn't be further from the truth. She's fully aware of what she's doing. She knows the chaos, the pain, the disrespect, and the emotional roller coaster she's caught up in. She knows the nonsense she tolerates isn't healthy or fair. But here's the thing, there's a method to what feels like madness. She's not blind or dumb, she's strategizing, preparing herself mentally for the hardest step of all, leaving. Leaving a toxic relationship isn't just about packing bags and walking out the door. It's a mental and emotional battle that takes time. She has to brace herself for the upheaval, the loneliness, the uncertainty, and sometimes even the backlash. She has to gather the strength to face the unknown, the fears of being alone, and the grief of letting go of what once felt like love. This mental preparation is crucial because if she tries to leave before she's truly ready inside, she'll end up coming back, again and again, trapped in a cycle of hope and heartbreak. She might tolerate things she knows she shouldn't, not because she loves the pain, but because she's still working through that inner struggle, building her armor, finding her footing, and figuring out what freedom really means for her. She's surviving each day while quietly planning her escape, even if it looks like she's just standing still. But once she's mentally exhausted, once she's worn down every doubt and fear, once she stops caring about the chaos and the excuses, that's when you've lost her for good. When the mental walls come down, not to let you back in, but to block you out forever. At that point, she's done fighting with herself. She's made peace with her decision. And no matter how much you try to pull her back, she won't turn around. Because leaving is not just physical, it's mental liberation. And when a woman reaches that point, she's reclaiming her life, her peace, and her power in a way no one can take away. It's painful to lose someone who once loved so deeply, but it's also a powerful reminder that awareness and strength don't always look the way you expect. Sometimes, the smartest thing a woman can do is stay. The more you heal, the more you realize that being crazy in love isn't love at all, it's chaos dressed up as passion. It's romanticized dysfunction, and it's exhausting. As you grow, as you unpack your triggers and gently gather your broken pieces, you begin to crave something different. Something softer, something quieter. You no longer ache for the roller coaster, you long for steady ground. You want a love that brings peace to your soul, not panic to your chest. You want a partner who understands that emotional instability isn't intensity. Someone who doesn't push you to the edge just to pull you back and call it love. You want calm conversations, mutual respect, deep understanding, a connection that feels like coming home, not surviving a war zone. You want someone who doesn't make your stomach twist with anxiety every time they go silent. Someone whose love isn't a guessing game. Someone who doesn't force you to be hypervigilant, always bracing for the next storm, the next disappointment. Healing shifts your perspective like that. It teaches you to love yourself enough to stop settling for love that puts your nervous system on high alert. You stop calling inconsistency passion and start recognizing that real love should never make you. Give me calm. Give me soft hands and gentle eyes. Give me clear communication and consistent effort. Give me the kind of love that feels like exhaling after holding my breath for too long. Because crazy in love may look good in the movies, but in real faith, it leaves you drained, lost, and doubting your own worth. You can't be in a relationship if you don't like rules. If you want full freedom to do whatever you want, stay single. Because a real relationship comes with responsibility. You communicate. You compromise. You take someone else's feelings into account before making decisions. You explain, not hide. You choose respect over. You apologize when you're wrong. Ego and connection over pride. Love isn't just about how you feel. It's about maturity, self-awareness, and the willingness to grow. If you're not ready to do the work, you're not ready for the relationship. It's so unfair that my reaction is unacceptable, yet they never ask themselves why I react that way. People are so quick to say that I'm being too sensitive, that I'm too emotional, or that I'm overreacting, but not once do they ever stop to ask what actually made me feel that way or what happened that caused me to respond like that. They never ask themselves what they said, what they did, or how their behavior may have pushed me to my breaking point. Instead, they act like my reaction came out of nowhere, like I just decided to feel too much for no reason at all. They just focus on how I expressed my feelings, not the reasons behind them. They don't try to understand what led up to that moment, and it's exhausting, constantly having to make sure my feelings don't take up too much space, just so others don't get uncomfortable. It makes me feel like I'm not allowed to feel anything unless it's convenient or easy for them to deal with. But deep down, I know the issue isn't that I feel too much, it's that they feel too little. They don't want to see the damage they've done, they don't look at their own actions, so they blame me for how I responded to it. Having a man in your house is not the same as having a man of the house. A man in your house might just be there. He exists in your space. Eats your food. Sleeps in your bed. But that doesn't mean he's showing up in the ways that actually matter. You can have a man in your ILF and still feed alone. Still carry the weight of everything. Still overthink, walk on eggshells, shrink yourself just to keep the peace. That's not love. That's not support. That's not leadership. A man of the house is different. He doesn't just show up physically, he shows up emotionally, mentally, and consistently. He takes responsibility without being asked. He adds peace, not pressure. He contributes. He supports. He astons. He leads not by control, but by example. You don't have to beg him to care. You don't have to explain basic respect. You don't have to do it all on your own while he watches from the sidelines. So no, presence isn't enough. If you've ever felt the difference, you know you don't need someone who just shows up when it's convenient. You need someone who stands beside you when it's hard. When a man doesn't want to change, he's not going to. It doesn't matter how much love you give him, how many chances you offer, or how patient you try to be. If growth feels like pressure to him, if accountability feels like an attack, he will find comfort in someone who demands nothing from him. That's the truth. Some men will choose women who require less, not because those women are better, but because they allow him to remain the same. No healing, no self-reflection, no growth. Just a cycle of doing whatever he wants without being challenged. And that's why so many men will fumble a real woman. A woman with a voice. A woman with values. A woman who's not going to sit there and accept being loved half-heartedly. You become too much the moment you stop tolerating nonsense. You become difficult the second you say, I deserve more than this. It's not that you weren't enough, it's that you weren't easy to manipulate. And let's be honest, some of them don't want a relationship, they want control. They don't want love, they want comfort, and you make them uncomfortable because you see right through them. You don't sugarcoat. You don't settle. You don't play small just to keep someone who isn't even showing up fully. So no, don't ever question your worth just because a man chose a version of love that didn't require him to evolve. Don't let it bruise your self-esteem because he went somewhere he could stay emotionally lazy. That's not a reflection of your value, that's a reflection of his fear. Fear of being seen. Fear of doing the work. Fear of becoming the man you were trying to build with. Truth is, you weren't too much. You were just too real. And real women? We don't shrink for anyone. Let him go find his peace in bare minimum connections. You keep standing on your standards, because one day, the right man will show up, and he'll match your energy without feeling threatened by it. 1. Instead of sleeping in or rushing off to work, roll over for a minute and kiss your wife. Like, really kiss her, this may work in your favor right on the spot. 2. Catch her in the closet while she changes clothes and let your eyes linger. Then tell her she's even more beautiful now than the day you first saw her. 3. Shoot her a text from work to say, "I sure love doing life with you." 4. When you get home, wrap your arms around her waist and lightly kiss the back of her neck while she's cooking at the stove. Then ask about her day and really listen to her response. 5. Help with bedtime. And once the kids are tucked into bed as she flops down on the couch exhausted from a long, hard day, say, "I probably don't tell you often enough, but you're a really great mom." Listen, I'm not asking you to tick down a checklist to get your wife in the sack. But sometimes we forget what it's like to feel beautiful and sexy. Mostly we're tired and unshowered and thinking about whether we have something to pack in tomorrow's lunch because we didn't make it to the store. Again. By bedtime we're completely touched out by needy kids. And we're probably already running the mental checklist of what tomorrow will bring. Sometimes we just forget about passion. The truth is, for us real passion doesn't begin at bedtime but in the little moments of connection throughout the day. And during this busy kid stage of life, those little moments are often up to you. Kiss her. Appreciate her. Listen. Help out. And really notice how amazing she is. This is defensive behavior. Shifting focus hack to you to avoid being accountable for their actions. Ignoring you and not paying attention to what is said. Getting angry and attacking you. Telling you that you should not feel the way you do. Accuse you of doing the same thing they did. Giving you excuses rather than apologizing and owning up to what they did. Withdrawing into silence, playing the victim. Dismissing you, that's ridiculous. Bringing up past mistakes you made to keep score. Not being willing to resolve issues or to understand you. Empaths go through two transformations: naive innocence and awakened strength. At first, they love without limits, driven by the need to please and the fear of abandonment making them easy targets for narcissists and manipulators. This cycle continues until a breaking point, where deep betrayal or emotional abuse shatters them entirely. But destruction leads to transformation. They rebuild with boundaries, self-respect, and emotional intelligence. No longer naive, they become empowered empaths, kind, but intentional. Compassionate, but no longer exploitable. They don't lose their empathy, they learn how to wield it. It's becoming all too common these days. Guys who claim they want a relationship, but when it comes down to it, they're just looking for someone to fill a void without truly committing. They want the loyalty, the care, the attention, the emotional support, and everything that comes with being in a real partnership, but they're not willing to give the same in return. They want a woman who acts like a partner, who's there through thick and thin, who supports them, loves them, stays faithful, does her best to build something meaningful, but what do they give? They give crumbs. They continue to entertain other women on the side, seeking attention and validation from anyone who will give it to them. They want their cake and to eat it too, without ever considering the fact that a real relationship requires both people to be all in, not just one doing the heavy lifting while the other floats around, never fully committing. It's frustrating. Really. Women are expected to invest emotionally, be present, and put in effort, but when it comes to trust and honesty, they're left high and dry. It's like these men want the perks of being in a real relationship, someone who cares, someone to come home to, someone to share their life with, but aren't ready for the responsibility that comes with it. They want loyalty. Without giving loyalty, emotional investment without reciprocation, and commitment without ever showing what it truly means. At the end of the day, they're just playing games, wasting time, and stringing people along, never realizing that real relationships require real effort, real commitment, and real respect. A woman who stays loyal, who gives her heart fully, deserves the same in return. But instead, these men think they can keep their options open, testing the waters, while expecting the woman to wait for them to figure it out. It's time for women to stop settling for this half-hearted version of a relationship. It's time to stop giving all of ourselves to someone who isn't fully invested in us. Real love isn't one-sided. Real love isn't about playing games or seeing who can wait the longest. Real love is mutual, it's built on trust, respect, and loyalty. If a man can't give that to you, it's time to let go and find someone who understands the value of a real partnership. Because loyalty and commitment are not negotiable, they're the. When a strong woman puts pressure on a weak man, he will run a low-value woman to validate his immature behavior. I said what I said. Because a strong woman doesn't just offer love, she brings standards, expectations, and a mirror that reflects his flaws, his potential, and everything in between. She challenges him to grow, to lead with integrity, to be emotionally present, and to match her energy. But not every man is ready for that kind of accountability. A weak man sees her strength as criticism, not inspiration. He feels exposed under her gaze, threatened by her independence, and overwhelmed by her emotional intelligence. Instead of rising to meet her, he retreats searching for someone easier, someone who won't question his actions or hold him responsible. He finds a woman who will stroke his ego rather than challenge his immaturity, not realizing he's not escaping the strong woman, he's escaping himself. And the saddest part? He'll mistake comfort for connection and validation for value. But real love isn't about being made to feel good all the time, it's about being made better. And one day, he'll realize he traded a queen for a comfort zone. By then, the strong woman will have moved on, building a life that no longer includes someone too afraid to level up.